Hey folks, it's Lindsey Huddleston with SPS back in the building over at Detroit MGM. Just had the Horatio Williams Coaches Forum here with the star, one of the stars of the show tonight, Coach Drew Valentine. How you doing?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Good
man,
money. Good
so
money.
people are so excited for you, happy for you. How exciting is this, first year been for you as a head coach of Loyola?
Yeah, it's been great for me so far. I learned a lot, and obviously we had a solid year. Always can improve, but getting to the tournament and just keeping it going, keeping the profile elevating for what we're trying to do here at Loyola. I think we were able to do that after losing an All-American. Most people when they lose a All-American player. Sorry,
No, you're fine.
All-American player. I mean, and we're quote unquote mid-major program. And Cam Krutwig was a third-team All-American in 2021. We lost him, and we were still able to have the most top 100 wins of in Loyola's history when it comes to Ken Palm and everything like that. So I thought we had a successful year, and it's awesome to be here. Back in Michigan, back at home, and seeing so many familiar faces, and it's an honor to be up there speaking and just sharing a little bit about my journey.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great, very diverse panel, including Troy Weaver, general manager for the Detroit Pistons. So when you hear someone in his position, really be excited when you talk about your coaching style and what you expect. I mean, is that another shot in the arm for you?
100%. But I think like a couple people have asked me, when I've been here tonight, they're like, "Man, you're a young coach, man. You nervous?" And I'm like, "No." Like my dad, kind of taught to me when I was young, and he was like,
Shout out to your dad, Carl.
Yeah, shout out to my dad. Like when you know the subject that you're talking about, when you're passionate about it, when you believe in, like Troy was saying, when you're convicted in your thoughts or why you feel a certain way or why you have those foundations that you have, you don't need to be nervous. And so it's an honor that Troy Weaver would think that highly of me or Wes Miller or to say that, but I wanted to just share a message today here for the next generation of coaches and give the next young coach, especially young black coach, confidence that they can go out there and change their life, change their family's life, but most importantly, change the young men that they coach their lives.
Yeah, very powerful. You talked about being authentic, and it kind of ended up being the theme for the rest of the night when the other coaches were talking. How important is it to be your authentic self despite stepping into a new space when, it's not the norm for someone with your profile to be where you are?
Yeah, I think it's super important. I think that you have to be mature. I think that you have to be high character. I think that you have to be, respectful. I think you have to present yourself as an adult. But at the same time, you can't lose what makes you unique. You can't lose what makes you special. Everybody in the world has their own special, unique skill set. And you got to have belief and confidence in that skill set that it can be great. And, one of mine is connecting with people. One of mine is, we're in this hip hop culture where we're in this hip hop culture where shoes and music and all that kind of intersect with basketball. That's how I grew up.
Sure.
The Allen Iversons, the Kobe's, the Shaqs, the T Macs, right. All the different people. So like that's how I grew up, and I've embraced that, and that's been part of my brand. And so. That's who I am, and I even though I started rising up the coaching ranks, I just talked to these people here tonight about never losing that what makes you special, and I think that's something that has made me special and unique.
Yeah, I won't keep you too long because I know some of our guests want to be able to grab a hold of you. And that line for the food is it hasn't got down.
Oh yeah,
yet,
we got a lot of time.
Yeah, that's great. So check this out. When you were explaining how things happen with you getting the job, it didn't sound as if you were like a ladder climber, like you've been like maneuvering, like your head coach got an opportunity, the associate head coach had made a move, and then you were kind of like third, in line, and it popped out. And I only bring that question up, Drew, because so many people you see are shaking your hand and looking to see who's next or looking for their next move. But in your particular case, it didn't seem to happen like that.
Yeah, Coach Izzo told me, so after my first year
shout out to Iz.
Yeah, shout out to Iz. After my first year as a GA at Michigan State, I was offered a job. And it was a support staff role. It wasn't an assistant coach role. And but I also had the opportunity to go back to Michigan State and finish my second year as a GA and get my master's and be around obviously my brother and my family for another year. And after that, I was presented that job, I didn't really grow up with much. So obviously my parents took care of me and we had the essentials, but it wasn't like we had much more than that. So
Right.
I was finally about to, okay, I got a chance to make some real money as a
Yeah.
job. But I went to Coach Izzo and asked him for advice, and he told me, okay, like this is an awesome opportunity, but is this the job that you want? Like, whether it's a bad thing or a good thing, never take a job for money. And I didn't take the job. We go to the Final Four in 2015. My brother ends up becoming an all-league player. I think that year, that summer that I spent with him really helped him grow into an NBA player and end up changing my family's life forever, changing my life, changing my career path and trajectory. I got an assistant job because we ended up going to the Final Four, because my brother got better, because everybody knew kind of I was working with him and everything. So, like, I think that everything kind of works out when you make moves, when you just work hard, you're present where you're at, you got 2 feet all in, and you don't really move around for money. You kind of just, if you're content at a place, obviously you need to try to elevate and not just be content.
Sure.
But at the same time, like, you got to go where you're happy and never take a job for money. So that's kind of just always been something that I've done.
Let me stay on that for a second. I got love for Coach Izzo and how he's welcomed me into the program, and I remember you being around during that time. Let's not gloss over that someone who, coming from Iron Mountain, didn't come from much, has done well for himself, is telling you don't take a job for money, and he has money. Right. I mean, did you just go home and say, sure, no problem, or did you really have to think, and did you struggle, did you wrestle with that, especially when you talk about having somewhat of a humble upbringing?
Yeah, no, it was definitely, I'm like, man, like, I can, finally, buy the shoes that I want, or I can finally have my own spot, or at that time, my car, I could barely have brakes on my car. Man. I can get a new car, like all those things that are superficial or things that don't really matter to you. But, I've really listened to that advice, and it's always stuck with me. I still give that advice to my players now, whether they're entering the job profession or whether they're, making a move, on the court, off the court, in their futures, or even my coaches on my staff or younger coaches that are asking me kind of what career path they should take. I always tell them never take a job for money, and usually it always works out for everybody.
And the only reason I emphasize that, because that's stirring in my soul hearing that, and I know how true it is, but I just didn't want our viewers to miss that, and to talk about how you talked about how the brakes were squeaking or screaming rather, and you could get your own place, but to be able to come back and look at all those wonderful things that open up doing that, I think that's a great thing. What advice do you have for some person who wants to get the opportunity, whether it's high school, collegiate, or potentially pro, and they're just in a totally different world? Troy Weaver, he talked like he was a Jamaican, like he had a bunch of jobs, man, right? I thought that was interesting. So what advice can you give someone who may be in a position where they may feel stuck, they're not around the sport, or they're just kind of like very much on the outside, but they want to be somewhere else? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say just like, try to find somebody that had a similar path to you, because there's like, there's so many different people that have gotten to be head coaches in different ways. So, like, try to find somebody that has a similar path to you, and then also, like, really put yourself out there. Like, really, really put yourself out there. So, like, I gave this example at another coaching clinic in the fall. We had a guy that was an assistant coach with the 16U AAU team. And my coach at Loyola, our head coach, Coach Moser, my first year, we had a director of operations spot open.
For AAU team?
No, we had he was an assistant coach for a 16U AAU team. We had our Dobo spot open at Loyola.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And this guy came up to Loyola every single day and just would be there, and would just try to create conversations with Coach Moser. But Coach Moser knew that, like, he was working hard. He would be working players out. Like, he was known in the city, but, like, Coach Moser didn't know him like that. We had a boot camp that started at 5 a.m. for 3 straight weeks. He came up every single day and would just be in there. Like, you got to put yourself out there and just not always, have your hand out and be looking like, what are you going to do for me? Just push yourself out there, try to get to know people and build real relationships, because that'll lead to something else.
See, that's powerful, because while he may be doing that, it seems that his peer people like, what you doing that for? Are they paying you? It's all these things. So you almost got to disassociate yourself from so many people to do something like that for it to make sense. What advice do you give if that person has a significant other or a spouse, or there are people who are important to him aren't supportive of that? I'm just trying to make it harder for you.
No doubt. No, you're good. I think family's always hard, like when it's your real, like when it's your, it's your parents. But, like, I think at the end of the day, most parents or family members, like real family members, I think they want you to be happy at the end of the day. And so if that's what's making you happy, then they'll be supportive of you. If the significant other isn't supportive of you chasing your dreams, then she's not the right one for you.
Yeah, that's good.
Or he is not the right one. In my opinion, my wife was with me when, I didn't
when the
have
brakes were
much.
squeaking.
When the brakes were squeaking, she didn't care.
Yeah.
And I was working, 15 to 18 hours a day at Michigan State, and a player would call me at 10 at night. We might be, having a late night dinner because I'm in the office all
Sure.
day. Player might call me like, "Hey, can you come rebound for me?" And I'm with food in my mouth. I'll see you later. And she's like, "Go ahead, do your thing." So like that's
Shout out to your wife.
yeah,
man.
no doubt. Shout out to Taylor. But those are the people that you got to have around you.
Yeah. Speaking of another significant person, I'm a native Detroiter, but I've been in East Lansing for a significant amount of time. Had the opportunity to come in contact with your dad. I don't have to tell you how amazing your dad is. That's your dad. But talk about the impact that your dad and your parents have had on you throughout this process.
Yeah, I mean, they're so supportive. The most supportive. I'm so lucky, blessed. Uh, they've given me so many great advice. They've obviously held me accountable. They've led me. They've pushed me in a direction and let me run with it. My dad always encouraged me to lead from the time I was 7, 8 years old. I'd be on a 10 and under football team or 10 and under basketball team, and he'd be telling me, "You're not like everybody else. If they're slacking off, that's not you." And I never knew what that could lead to, but I guess that's what those principles, those habits are kind of what led me to be a leader of a Division I program at the age of 30.
Yeah.
So I'm just really lucky. Both of my parents, my mom, she was an educator, she was a teacher, and so she never let me slack from an academic standpoint. She never compartmentalized excellence, be great at everything. And so there's just so many lessons, life lessons that me and my brother both owe everything to my parents for, and we're grateful to have that.
Yeah, and speaking of your brother, having a brother that's in the NBA, normally that would be the whole story, and that's it. But what you guys are being able to accomplish, what is it like having Zell and having his NBA experience and being able to support him along the way? Just talk about that dynamic.
Yeah, it's awesome. There is no me without Zell. There is no Zell without me. And we know that. We're supportive of one another. It's just crazy the journey that we've been on. We're from Lansing. It's not like we're from, New York City. And, our dad was a good player, but it wasn't like he was, Del Curry or anything like that.
Sure.
So, to see how we've been able to take it and elevate to the next level is really fun for us. We're so supportive of one another. We got each other's backs. We both think the world of one another. And he's just getting started. He's got a lot of ball left in him, and he was finally healthy this year. He's going to have a great summer. Going to have his first healthy summer since he's been a pro. So
yeah.
I'm looking for a huge year for him next year.
Yeah, we're happy for him. We're rooting for him. I'm going to let you go because that line is getting short. Maybe we'll go get some food too, man. You've been great. Anybody you want to shout out other than family and others before we let you get out of here?
Yeah, man. Just shout out all the family here in Michigan, man. I appreciate all the support, all the love, and make sure y'all, come check me out in Chicago. Come check out Gentile Arena. Just keep supporting us from afar, and yeah, I appreciate you having me on. This is awesome, yeah, man, appreciate all that you're doing too. This is awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Drew Valentine, representing for Loyola, making great things happen in the city of Detroit. But look to see him somewhere cutting somebody's nets down real soon. That's how that goes.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.